There is one belief a lot of women carry around like it is carved in stone. And that belief is this: what men want most is physical intimacy, the thrill, the heat, the moment of ending up in bed with you. That is what many of you have been told again and again. But let me flip that whole picture over for a second. Because what if I told you there is something many men prize even more? Something they hunger for on a much deeper level. Something that can pull them closer or push them away faster than desire ever could. That thing is respect. And before you roll your eyes and think, here we go again, I already know this speech, let me stop you right there. I do not mean the old, stiff version of respect that sounds dry, cold, and boring. I am talking about the kind of respect that makes a man feel seen, trusted, valued, and challenged in the best possible way. So if your attention is split right now, pull it back. Because what I am about to say can shift how you look at love, attraction, commitment, and the way a man locks in emotionally. Desire can open the door. Chemistry can make sparks fly. Attraction can pull a man close enough to start something wild and exciting. But respect is what makes him stay when life gets hard, when moods shift, when beauty becomes familiar, and when the easy thrill is no longer enough to carry the bond. Respect is the fire underneath the whole thing. It feeds the way many men experience love. It shapes how they read loyalty. It colors how safe or unsafe they feel with you. And without it, even relationships that start with explosive passion often burn bright for a short time and then collapse into distance, resentment, boredom, or silent disconnection. If you are hearing me for the first time, my name is Ismael Gomez, and today I want to walk you through why respect touches a man so deeply, why it can awaken his strongest devotion, and how a woman can become unforgettable to a man, not by begging for attention, but by moving in a way that earns his deepest admiration. So let us get into the heart of it. Why are so many men moved by respect in the first place? Because when a man feels respected, something inside him settles and rises at the same time. He feels like he matters. He feels like he has a place. He feels like his effort is not invisible. He feels like the woman beside him is not just taking from him, but actually recognizing who he is and what he brings. That feeling is powerful. It does not just flatter him, it energizes him. It makes him want to show up harder, love stronger, and protect the connection with more seriousness. When a woman becomes a place where a man feels respected, she often becomes the place where he wants to pour more of himself. Now, some of you may ask, why does respect hit men so hard, sometimes even harder than love itself? Think about the early years. Think about what boys are taught, not always with words, but with pressure, teasing, comparison, and constant silent competition. Little girls are often praised for being cute, pretty, sweet, or lovely. Boys are often measured by strength, toughness, ability, status, and whether other people take them seriously. They learn early that being ignored feels like weakness, being laughed at feels like humiliation, and being respected feels like proof that they have worth. That message gets drilled into them in schoolyards, in sports, in family systems, in social circles, and later in work and dating. So by the time they are grown, respect is not some nice extra. It is tied to identity. It is tied to pride. It is tied to whether they feel like a winner or a joke in their own life. And this is where many women get confused. They say, but I did respect him and he still left. Or, I treated him well and he still cheated. That pain is real, but there is a truth inside this that you have to face. Your respect only carries weight if the man himself has the capacity to value it. If a man is shallow, broken, deeply insecure, addicted to chaos, or simply not serious, then your respect may bounce right off him because he does not even know how to hold something valuable. You can offer gold to a man who only knows how to chase glitter, and he still will not treasure it. So the point is not just to give respect endlessly. The point is to understand how to offer it in a way that has meaning, and how to give it only to a man who can actually recognize its worth. Now let us talk about how your respect becomes something he truly feels, something that lands, something that gets under his skin in the best way. One powerful way is to outsmart him. And let me be very clear. I am not talking about silly games, sneaky tricks, or trying to dominate him. I am talking about emotional intelligence. I am talking about having the kind of calm, sharp presence that can handle heat without losing class. Men notice that. Oh, they really notice that. A lot of men have been in arguments where they were hot, loud, defensive, and sure they were right. Then the woman stays grounded. She listens. She does not panic. She does not scream to be heard. And when she finally speaks, she drops a few clean, direct truths that cut through the noise. No drama, no childish attack, no cheap shot, just precision. That kind of composure is magnetic. It makes a man stop and think, damn, she is not just emotional, she is powerful. There is something deeply attractive about a woman who can hold herself together in tense moments. Not because she is cold, but because she is centered. She is not trying to win by crushing him. She is not trying to look smarter by making him feel stupid. She is showing him that she can be a real partner, someone who brings brains, self-control, and maturity to the table. That creates respect. It also creates trust. A man starts to feel that he can build with a woman like that because she is not going to turn every disagreement into a circus. She can challenge him without humiliating him. She can correct him without trying to break his spirit. And when a man feels that, he often sees her not just as someone attractive, but as someone solid, someone rare, someone he wants on his team. Another way to outsmart him is through action. A lot of men are not moved by speeches nearly as much as they are moved by results. Words matter, yes, but results hit harder. If you say you are thoughtful and then move carelessly, the words fade. If you say you are supportive and then create extra stress, the claim falls flat. But when your actions solve problems, reduce chaos, create ease, or add joy, a man feels that in a very real way. Think about a woman who takes the lead on planning a trip because her man is drowning in work. She finds the place, books the stay, grabs the tickets, maps out what they will do, and turns a stressful idea into a smooth experience. That kind of energy is sexy in a real-life way. It is not empty talk. It is useful. It is elegant. It says, I know how to make life better. And yes, if his card pays for the trip while you handle the details, that can be a delicious little arrangement when it works for both people. Let him carry part of the load and you carry another part. That is partnership. That is rhythm. That is not about using a man. It is about creating a dynamic where both people bring value. Men often love feeling useful. They love feeling like their effort makes a visible difference. When a man believes that he can make your life richer, easier, warmer, more exciting, or more secure, his emotional bond tends to deepen. It feeds his sense of purpose. It tells him he matters in your world. Now let me make something important very plain. Letting a man add value to your life does not mean becoming helpless, lazy, or dependent. That is not the point. The point is allowing space for contribution. Some women make the mistake of trying to prove they need nothing from anybody. They block every doorway where a man could show care, effort, or usefulness. Then later they wonder why he feels detached. Well, if there is no room for him to matter, then how can he feel meaningful with you? Men often get more attached through investment. The more they pour in, the more they feel connected to what they are building. This is one of those truths people do not always like, but it shows up again and again. A man who invests time, energy, thought, money, and emotion into a woman often grows more attached because his own brain begins to justify that investment. He starts telling himself she must be special, because if she were not, then what was all this effort for? And most people hate feeling foolish. They do not want to believe they poured themselves into the wrong place. So when a man invests willingly, he often strengthens his own bond in the process. It is the same reason so many men stay obsessed with sports teams that have disappointed them for years. They keep watching, defending, hoping, buying tickets, wearing the colors, and emotionally bleeding for a team that may not have rewarded them at all. Why? Because the investment itself creates loyalty. The more they give, the harder it becomes to walk away. That same pattern can play out in relationships. If a man keeps showing up, planning, helping, spending, protecting, and emotionally leaning in, he often becomes more attached to the woman receiving that effort. So the smartest move is not chasing him in desperation. It is not overperforming to the point that he can relax while you carry everything. It is creating room for him to invest. Let him earn his place. Let him reveal how serious he is by what he gives, by how he acts, by how consistently he shows up. Men often respect what they have to work for. They tend to cherish what they have built. So stop trying to force devotion out of thin air and start watching where he is willing to place his effort. Now let us talk about clarity because this part is pure fire. If you are not clear about what you want, do not be shocked when your love life turns into a messy storm full of mixed messages, weak excuses, and confusing outcomes. Clarity sets the tone. Clarity creates direction. Clarity shows people how to treat you. When you know what you want, whether it is commitment, consistency, marriage, peace, honesty, emotional maturity, or a real future, your energy changes. You stop floating around hoping things magically work themselves out. You start moving with intention. And that energy can challenge a man in a very good way. It tells him that if he wants access to your life, he has to rise and meet you at your standard. Everyone talks about manifestation, but real manifestation is not just whispering sweet wishes into the air. It is saying your desire clearly and then acting like you mean it. If you tell a man you want a serious relationship, but keep accepting crumbs, random disappearances, lazy communication, and effort that comes and goes, then your actions are canceling your words. You are saying one thing and allowing another. That creates confusion, not power. Men watch what you tolerate more than what you announce. Read that again in your heart. Men watch what you tolerate more than what you announce. If you accept almost nothing and still stay, many men will assume almost nothing is enough. But when your behavior matches your standards, everything changes. When you step back from inconsistency instead of arguing with it, when you walk away from half love instead of trying to fix it, when you refuse to keep rewarding behavior that insults your worth, you send a loud message without needing a loud voice. You say, I know what I want, I know what I deserve, and I am not so thirsty for company that I will shrink my standards just to keep someone around. That kind of certainty can shake a man awake. It can also filter out the weak ones fast. And that is a blessing, not a loss. Now here is another truth that many people need to hear. Trying to control a man almost never creates respect. It creates resistance, secrecy, or performance. You can pressure someone into temporary behavior, but you cannot pressure them into genuine devotion. Real respect is not built through policing every move, checking every corner, demanding every answer, and trying to manage a grown man like he is your anxious little project. That path usually leads to exhaustion. The stronger move, the sexier move, the more self-respecting move is removal. If something or someone does not align with your values, you do not need to turn into a full-time detective, therapist, and prison guard. You decide. You act. You remove yourself from what dishonors you. This applies beyond romance, too. Think about that one friend who keeps crossing lines, judging your choices, draining your energy, or disrespecting your boundaries. If you keep allowing it, you teach everyone around you that access to you requires very little care. But when you address it directly or create distance, your actions say your peace matters. Your standards matter. Your self-respect is not for sale. And when a man sees that you live this way in all your relationships, not just with him, he learns something important about you. He learns that you are not easy to bend. He learns that you are kind, maybe, but not weak. Warm, but not sloppy. Loving, but not available for nonsense. That is where real strength lives. Not in controlling every outcome, not in collecting manipulative tricks from the internet, not in bragging that you can tolerate poor treatment because you are tough. Endurance is not always power. Sometimes endurance is just unhealed fear wearing high heels and pretending to be confidence. Real power is cleaner than that. It looks like boundaries. It sounds like truth. It feels like calm decisions. It is the ability to walk away from what wounds your spirit, even when part of you still wants the fantasy to work. When a man witnesses that kind of self-command, respect grows, admiration grows, and if he is a healthy man, his desire to meet you properly grows too. So let me bring this all together for you. If you want to understand a man more deeply, stop assuming passion is the whole story. Desire matters, yes. Attraction matters, yes. Chemistry matters, yes. But respect often holds the emotional keys. Respect tells him whether he feels honored or belittled. It tells him whether being with you makes him feel stronger or smaller. It tells him whether the relationship feels like a place where he can give his best or a place where he will always be picked apart. And the beautiful thing is that respect does not mean worshiping a man, shrinking for a man, or lowering yourself to keep a man comfortable. True respect can be feminine, soft, sharp, playful, and powerful all at once. You can outsmart him emotionally by staying calm when he expects chaos. You can deepen his connection by giving him room to contribute meaningfully. You can increase his respect by being crystal clear about your standards and refusing to send mixed signals with your actions. And you can protect your peace by removing yourself from what does not align instead of wasting your life trying to control things that are clearly out of order. That is how you move with grace and bite. That is how you become the kind of woman a man does not just want, but deeply respects. And let me leave you with something tender and fierce at the same time. One woman once wrote words that capture this beautifully. She said, "You should obsess over yourself, study yourself, list everything you love about yourself, admire yourself, cheer for yourself, and become your own biggest fan." To some people that may sound strange, maybe even selfish, but there is a deep truth inside it. When your self-esteem is strong like iron, your boundaries become natural. You do not have to force them. You do not have to fake them. You do not have to beg people to understand them. Strong self-worth makes it easier to say yes with joy and no with peace. So if you want your relationships to change, start there. Start with how you see yourself. Start with what you allow. Start with how clearly you speak your desires and how firmly you back them up with action. Start with refusing to confuse attention for love and chemistry for character. Start with becoming the kind of woman who is soft without being spineless, loving without being lost, and confident without becoming cruel. Because when you change, the kind of love you accept changes. The kind of men who can stay around you changes. The dynamic changes. The whole game changes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening with an open mind. And thank you for choosing to grow instead of repeating the same painful patterns. Keep learning, keep sharpening your standards, keep honoring your own heart, and keep remembering this. For a relationship to transform, you have to transform first. Have a beautiful day. And let me go even deeper, because this is where many women miss the hidden pulse of a man's heart. A man can enjoy beauty and still not feel bonded. He can crave excitement and still not feel safe. He can be drawn in by sweetness and still not feel anchored. But when he feels that a woman respects his effort, his mind, his role, and even his struggle, something changes in his chest. He starts relaxing into the bond. He stops feeling like he has to defend himself every second. He feels less like he is being tested for sport and more like he is being understood as a human being. That does not mean he becomes lazy or gets a pass for bad behavior. It means he feels invited to bring his full strength instead of just his performance. This is also why mocking a man, talking down to him, exposing his weak spots in public, or treating his dreams like little jokes can poison a connection fast. Some women think if they keep a man humbled, he will stay in line. In reality, if a man has any self-respect at all, repeated disrespect quietly kills his openness. He may still stay for convenience, sex, history, or habit, but his deepest softness starts to shut down. His generosity starts shrinking. His emotional honesty starts drying up. He becomes guarded. He becomes colder. He may stop fighting for the bond long before he physically leaves it. That is why tone matters. Timing matters. Delivery matters. You can say a hard truth without stripping someone of dignity. And ladies, let us be honest. Respect is not some gift only women are supposed to hand out while men behave however they want. No. Healthy love asks for mutual respect. But since this message is focused on what wakes a man up emotionally, you need to understand how strongly many men respond to being treated like they are trusted to lead in some area, contribute in some area, and matter in some area. If every effort he makes gets dismissed, corrected, laughed at, or compared to another man, do not be surprised if his drive goes elsewhere. Men bloom where they feel appreciated for what they bring, not where they feel like walking mistakes. So when you speak to a man, ask yourself, am I adding fuel to his best self or pouring cold water on it? Am I correcting him to improve the bond or just to release my irritation? Am I making room for teamwork or am I obsessed with always having the upper hand? A woman who knows how to be soft and sharp at the same time is dangerous in the best way. She can flirt, challenge, tease, and still keep respect in the room. She knows how to say, "That was not okay with me," without turning the whole moment into a low blow. She knows how to hold standards without acting bitter. So hear me clearly. Beauty may catch his eye, chemistry may pull him close, but respect is what makes him stay when the shine wears off. Give him warmth, give him truth, give him space to invest, and never trade your standards for crumbs. When you honor yourself first, the right man will not just desire you. He will value you, protect the bond, and rise up.